2016, Module 5, Part 4. In this segment, we're going to be working with a query design that includes a calculated field. This calculated field is going to be a complex calculated field that incorporates an if statement. These are the functions that we will be incorporating into our complex calculated field. First of all, we will be doing an if statement. In Access, the if statement is called an immediate if. So its function name is IIF. It has three components, and these components are just like the if statement that we saw in Excel. So the expression is the equivalent to the logical test in Excel. The true part is what happens if it is true, and that is the equivalent to the value if true in Excel. And our false part is what happens if the expression is not true. And that is the same as the value if false that we used in Excel. Now in this example, our expression is going to be checking a field to see if it is blank. The is null function in Access checks a field to see if it is blank. And then finally, we will be using the ampersand sign to concatenate, which means to combine or join items together. All of this has to happen in the field row on Design View. In the field row, your new field will start out with a field name. Then you will insert a colon, and then the formula will follow that. This is the example of what we will be calculating in a few moments in Access. Okay, so we said if our nickname field is blank, that's our logical test or our expression. Then the owner field. So owner becomes the name. That's our new field name. If nickname is null, is blank, then the value, if true, is going to take the last name, combine it or follow it with a comma and a space, and follow that or combine that with the first name, which is our value if true. Last name, concatenate. Since we want to add text, we have to put that text inside quotes, comma, space, both inside the quotes, and then concatenate again with the first name field. Now, if nickname is not blank, then we're going to take the last name, add a comma and a space, and then add the nickname. So you can see the green becomes our value if false or our false part in Access. So we're going to go ahead now and get into our Access database. For this example, we are in the Care Center database, and we are going to go to the Query Design. So Create, Query Design, and we're going to add the owner table. Close that. I like to see all my fields. I'm going to add all of the fields. So I'm going to double click on the table name. They're all highlighted, but instead of dragging one and putting it in the first field, I'm going to drag it down and put it in the second field. That leaves me one field at the beginning to use as my calculated field. We are going to go ahead and save this. It's going to be called QRY Owners by Name. And then I'm going to put CALC after it so that you can refer back to this later and remember this had the calculated field. So in order to calculate the field, we're going to click in the field box. You want to remember everything about the calculated field needs to be entered up in the field row, both the name and the formula. So let's go ahead and open up our builder. The builder is the easiest way to do this right now. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with looking for our if function. So what I want to do is I want to click the plus next to functions. And then I want to click in on built-in functions. There are a ton of built-in functions in Access, just like there were in Excel. So the only ones you need to remember are the ones we go over. So we're going to scroll down in this center section and find Program Flow. When we find Program Flow, you can see IIF. That's your immediate if. So I'm going to double click on that. So you'll notice it puts it up in our box and we start building it. Everything that you see in the double arrows, that means you're supposed to be replacing that. So we're going to click on expression, and then we need to put the expression in there. So in order to do that, we need to find the isNull function. That one is under inspection. So you'll see isNull, and we'll double click. So notice it replaced expression, but now it has a new expression. This one is related to the isNull. It wants to know what field do we want to check to see if it's blank. So you're going to click on expression and then come up here and click on the name of our query. And it has a list of all the fields. If you had not saved the query before you did this, you would not see this list of fields. We're going to choose nickname, double click on it, and it will put it in your formula. Next, we're going to go and we're going to start working on our true part. So with click on true part, we said what we need to do is click on the last name. So we're going to double click that, and we're going to combine. So we are going to use the ampersand sign to add to the last name. Now what we want to add is text. So text you need to put in quotes. So you're going to put a quote, comma, space, close the quote. That's the text that you want it to type after the last name. Then we're going to add a space and concatenate or combine again. So we need another ampersand symbol. Then space and add the next field, which is first name. So I'm going to double click on first name. So if nickname is blank, I want this to take the last name field, combine it, which is what the ampersand means, with a comma and a space, and then combine all of that with the first name. That's our true value. So the false value, we're going to click on that false part, and we're going to build that. The false part is going to take the last name, so I'm going to double click on that. I'm also going to combine, so I'll use the ampersand, and I like to put spaces, it just makes it a little more readable. Then I'm going to put a quote, a comma, and a space, and then a closing quote. Next, I need to combine it again, and I'm going to combine with the nickname. So now I have replaced my expression or logical test. I have replaced my true part and my false part. So I can click on OK. Now I'm going to enlarge this box so we can see the entire formula. So it's going to have to get a little bit big. But I want you to see that in the field row, you have something here that says EXPR1. That is your field name. So what we need to do is we need to change that so that it reads the field name we were given. So we're going to type in owner. That is our new field name. Notice we have a field name, then a semicolon, a colon, field name, followed by your colon, followed by the formula. Okay? You need all of that in the field row. Now, if I also said I wanted to sort by this new field, I could click in my sort box and tell it to sort in ascending order. If I needed to put in a caption or other information about this calculated field, I would come up to the property sheet with this field being selected or active, and I can enter a caption here. If it was a calculated field that was numeric, we could do number formatting as well. Let's go ahead and save our work, and then let's try to run our query. I'm going to enlarge to a best fit this new field, and let's take a look here. On this individual, they have a nickname. So when you look at the owner, it has the last name followed by a comma and a space and their nickname. Now this individual, they do not have a nickname. So theirs has the last name followed by a comma, a space, and the first name. So you can see how our calculated field will work. Let's go back and to design view. And just to quickly review, you want to make sure on the field row you have both the new field name followed by a colon and then the entire formula that is calculating that field. I'm going to go ahead and close this query, and that concludes working with a calculated field that is complex. The thing that you would want to make sure to remember, the one that you will most likely see on homework or on an exam would be the concatenating. You potentially could see these, but you're not going to get anything as complex as what you're seeing today in this video. But you could be expected to concatenate. We will use that again in other areas. And you definitely need to remember that in the field row, you must have the new field name, followed by a colon, followed by the formula. Captions need to be entered using the property sheet. In the property sheet, if we open our query back up, the property sheet is accessible up here on the ribbon. So captions would need to be entered using the property sheet and entering a caption over here.